all that evil needs to exist is for good men, in this case, good men and women, to do nothing. And the concern I have is the apathy for this. And the concern I have is that the facts are out there, and these are not spontaneous, organic protests. I mean, let me sort of connect the dots real quick.
Yep.
We started in 2008 with what? Occupy Wall Street. And they saw what worked and they saw what didn't. And, okay, it was Occupy Wall Street. I remember Dartmouth had, a little street corner. They had like 3 tents put up, that kind of thing. But they were honing their craft. Who they are, we're going to get to in a second. Yeah. Then you saw in the summer of 2020, Black Lives Matter. All of a sudden, it exponentially increased. And now you're seeing it, right? You had all this, protests, but now there was a really violent demonstration, right, in Columbia and taking over the campus, right?
Right.
And the same thing that happened to Black Lives Matter happened here. You know what? And I know we have a bunch of pictures I want you to put up, but before we get to all of that, the real question is, who's behind all of this, right? Right. Yep. I mean, who is the Wizard of Gaza, right? There's the Wizard of Gaza, right? You have the Wizard of Oz, who's the man behind the curtain. In this case, who's the Wizard of Gaza? Because clearly these protests are organized. They all have the same tents. It all happened at the same time. They're all using the same slogan like Democratic talking points.
Well, how are they getting the Palestinian head wrap scarf things and all of like the flags, and there's way too much organization for this to be casual. And that's the thing that people really need to understand. This is not a fly by night. Oh, we're really here because we want to be. I mean, I'm excited for what we're going to cover today, but people should know that there is tons of footage out there of these protesters being asked, "Oh, what are you here for? What do you do?" And they have no idea. Most of these people have no idea why they're there, what they're protesting for, and why. And so,
wait a minute, I have to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Look, and the reason I need to jump in on this is because you're right. Most of them are useful idiots. I get that. But the problem is when you highlight that, it makes it seem to the average listener, oh, well, since they really don't know what they're protesting and they're really just college kids. And I remember how I was in college, or I was in my 20s, if I didn't go to college, that it's this harmless, innocuous thing because they don't know what they're protesting.
Oh, no.
The key is
that's worse. I think it's worse.
Well, it's worse in terms of stupidity. The key is that these are paid, that the people leading this are paid protesters funded by dark money and soft money, C3 and C4 money. That's the key here. And there is a purpose. So the fact that most of them don't know what they're protesting is not the point. You want to gin up the mob. You want to gin up a crowd and have them become a mob. And that's what's happening in Columbia. Right.
You have all these kids don't even know what they're there for, getting all lathered up over something they don't understand. So it's like, it's evil begetting stupid evil. I can't even, this is beyond anything I remember in my lifetime personally to this scale. Like, how can you be so ignorant of something so awful and run out there and be violent about it? I don't know.
But again, most of them, look, in all fairness, most of them are not violent. They're just a mob, right? And they are intimidating. They are threatening. They have signs that say, kill the Jews, or we don't care if the Zionists choke on their own spit, or things like that. But I want to go to a couple of visuals and a couple of pictures. So the first picture is just here's the campus, and this was several days ago, by the way. Things have taken on a more life of their own. This is the campus at Columbia. These are the protests that that we're putting up. I mean, that's the mob scene. That's the mob mentality, ladies and gentlemen. I drove by there last week. Okay. Wasn't quite allowed close, went through a heavy police presence to get there. I will tell you that it is pretty ugly, and it's a scary situation. And the fact that, by the way, I have a new name, like, it's not even just the Ivy League schools, it's the poison Ivy League schools. Right? because well, no, but think about it. There's a method here. There's a reason here. the poison that's being spewed into America and American culture is coming from the Ivy League colleges first and foremost. Right? What am I missing?
I mean, think about, I'm sorry. I was just thinking about all of the scandals that have come out over the last several years of all these celebrities and people getting their kids into these universities. So now it's just like, oh, so all the politicians' kids and all of the celebrities' kids are even dumber than everyone else. Because I mean, that's who goes to these schools. That you have to get into an Ivy League school, you either have to be super smart or really rich. So whose kids are these? That's whose kids are these?
Or you have to buy the test results scores.
Or that. So these are the spawn of the wealthy elite out there fighting for this stuff.
You know, I saw a poll recently that 80% of America supports Israel over Hamas in this war. But when you drill down into the numbers and the crosstabs of it, right? And this was a Harvard poll, by the way. When you drill down into the numbers, between 27 and 35-year-olds, 72% support Hamas.
Do they support Hamas or Palestine? Or Palestinians, because they really are.
You're going to make me go to the numbers. I'll go to the numbers.
I mean, that's the thing, is because the way that the question is asked, if people say I support Hamas, a terrorist group, I don't know Hamas. If I believe.
Excuse me, I quoted my numbers wrong. Ages 18 to 24, 57% backed Israel and 43% favored Hamas. However, among 55 to 64-year-olds, 91% favored Israel. Right now, this is
the question was specifically Hamas, not Palestinians or whatever.
Right.
Oh,
not Palestinians. But let's go to some of the other visuals though, because I want people to see. Because here's the other thing. Let's go to the second slide. Okay, and this slide
is that Tent City.
That is Tent City. So you look at Tent City and you see they all look the same, folks. They're all green tents. So did they all go to Campmore? And I don't know, Campmore's still around, or Dick's Sporting Goods, and all buy the same tent? Oh, let's go here, right? They are having people bring in Dunkin' Donuts. They are being supplied, and it's all the same equipment. It's all the same language, all the same, right? This is Black Lives Matter in 2020, and now you're seeing it even more here. Next slide, though, is across the country, and I freely admit, and by the way, so I don't get charged with plagiarizing, I took this slide, next one, the map from a New York Post article, which did an in-depth across the country. And not only does the hate extend, look at all the places across the country. You know, I hesitate to put up the name George Soros because it's Open Society Foundation, because the minute you say that, you paint him to be this boogeyman, you know, he's, you know, the Wizard of Gaza, right? But it's more than just him. There are all sorts of different funding sources, and they've honed their craft. These three people, we're going to go through these three people that you see on the picture. Let's go to the next one. Are paid. They get paid somewhere between, let's see. Let me see what are my numbers. They get $7,800 to protest, $2,800 if they're a fellow, and they're going to work between, 8 hours a week organizing campaigns led by Palestinians. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Which next slide?
That slide. So that slide is, let's see, Nita Laffey, University of Texas, right? Paid organizer. She's paid to protest. Next slide.
You got to give me titles. You got to give me names.
Oh, Malik Afane.
All right.
She's the one out and this woman is out in the UCLA system, or I'm sorry, UC, University of California system in Berkeley, right? Paid organizer. Next one would be the young gentleman, if I can find his name again, which is Craig Burkhead Morton at Yale.
I don't think I have a picture of just him for some reason.
Well, let's go back to the map.
But he's this guy.
He is lower right-hand corner, an African-American gentleman in the lower right-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, at Yale, paid protesters. So these people are being paid to protest. these are your leaders. They are bringing in equipment from who's paying for all this, right? Obviously, we can go to the one picture of George Soros that we have up. I mean, this is not only Soros, but you got to understand it's not him directly. It's through Open Societies Foundation. That's his 501c3 and C4. And there are other organizations. You know, next slide, because it's no longer him. Put
His
up the
son?
couple, of course.
Okay.
So this is not only Alexander Soros, right, who now runs Open Societies and runs the business empire, but who's he next to, Ericka?
Anthony Weiner's ex-wife.
Huma Abedin, who was the close personal aide of whom?
Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Rodham Clinton. Interesting. Don't you think?
Wasn't she named in the email scandal?
Makes you wonder why she is silent. In any event, let's go to the next slide. Just keep rolling them. I'll go with them. Just
okay. Howard Horowitz.
Right. Former ultra-Orthodox guy. He has Westpac, which is White Plains, Political Action Committee, also funds all of these people. And again, they can go through the numbers. Let's see. Open Society gave $300,000, and then let's show the Rockefellers, because you've heard about the Rockefellers, Esso Oil, right? That's David Rockefeller Jr., I think the fourth, with his daughter, as I recall. $355,000 to these kind of organizations. So, folks, if you think, right, and look, they're free to invest their money wherever they want, but what happened to transparency, right? If you're going to fund those things, then step up and say, yeah, I'm proud I'm funding those things, right?
Yep.
But then you get Open Society that comes back. Let's see if I can find my paperwork here, and says the following. When they were challenged on this, they said, here we go. Open Society said the following after the Post published all of this. This isn't me, folks. New York Post. Open Society Foundation, for the record, Open Society Foundation has a long history of fighting anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all forms of racism and hate. What do you think about that?
I think it sounds like a bunch of nonsense to me. It sounds like a bunch of commie gobbledygook.
Well, but you know what it is? It's as long as you can claim, like, one of his is Jewish Voices for Peace. This is also an organization funded by Soros and Rockefeller, Rockefeller Brothers, nonprofit, right? These aren't Jews for peace, right? I mean, but what's in a name? If you name something, look at the way like Congress names the bills. Well, the Build Back Better, or this will make your life better.
Affordable Care Act.
Or the Affordable Care Act bill. I mean, I feel like I'm reading something right out of Ayn Rand, right? The committee for bettering society. Because
here's my thing. Okay, this is my question, and I might get canceled. I might get in trouble for this. If I ran around and said, French people for the destruction of France, right? Or Christians for the demolishment of Christianity. And I ran, like, would anyone take me seriously?
No, but wait a minute. I have a better question. If you stood up and say all blacks should be driven into the sea.
Why would why?
Maybe it wouldn't be the Red Sea. It'll be the Black Sea, right? Different part of the country. The world. But if you said all people of color, all Indians, all gays,
is it excusable? Does it become excusable because I'm the same race as those people?
Well, it's excusable because it's the Jews. And I hate to say it in those terms, but there's a history of it. There's a world, forget about a country history. There's a world history of it. But beyond that, it's the apathy in the country when they say, well, it's happening in Colombia, but it's not happening in little town Georgia, right? Or it's not happening. So I don't have to do anything until it affects me. And what they don't understand, I mean, if you connect the dots between the political violence that's now rampant in Mexico during elections, which is our southern border, ladies and gentlemen, if we still have a southern border, and you connect all of that, you have to say, it doesn't matter whether it's in your little town, it is in your country. The Intifada is here, right? We have, and we're going to talk about the prophecies of a woman who passed many years ago, Oriana Fallaci, in the next segment, because she predicted this 20, 30 years ago and was not physically crucified, but certainly in the press was crucified as a racist. You know, all the tropes you hear, right? But anyway, I know we're getting the high sign, so I just want to.
Yes. Well, and we have a comment from one of our listeners. Ken said, Democrats can't win without the far left fringe, and they're useless idiots. And they are well-funded and organized from what I see. That is so true. The First Amendment protects them. But, you know, what we need protection from right now is socialism running rampant across our campuses in our country. And ASIC can help with that.